You found us. What about this idea?
Gotta listen to this show. Why?
Because it's about the hearts and minds of entrepreneurs.
Oh, nailed it.
I didn't even look at the wall.
Nailed it.
I didn't even look at the
All
wall.
right, listen, honestly, this is a show. It's different than other shows about entrepreneurship.
It's real. It's real. Real stories.
Is it?
We tend to talk very real.
I love
And
it.
so do our guests. So come have fun with us.
Bam, second half. Here it goes.
Here it is. But we don't
Thanks,
do second
Clark.
halves. Oh, yeah, we do.
We
It's
do.
a separate show, right? So this is another.
Well, we release them at different times so people, little teaser, 50-minute first half.
Gonna have to cut some of those stories.
No, we don't care.
Can't do.
All right. So, being that our show is at least loosely about about helping people understand what they might be embarking on when they start their entrepreneurial journey, or kind of getting a little support from other people who are in it. Let's talk, because I love all the stories and it's all good. But let's talk a little bit about what you're doing and what you've learned along the way so far, because you are doing more than one thing.
Yes.
And you started this all yourself after these 24 years in corporate.
Yes.
How's it going?
It is awesome.
Yeah.
And if I answer your question and really think about what's the stuff that helped me. Number one, I got a little advisory team together right as I was creating this business.
Okay.
And I had all four are really good friends of mine. I had a lawyer, I had a non-corporate person, I had an HR expert.
When you say non-corporate, are you saying like an entrepreneur, like a
like
business
an
owner?
entrepreneur who had never worked in like a General Mills corporate environment.
Yep.
So, because I felt like I needed that.
So a lawyer, like a seasoned entrepreneur.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lawyer, seasoned entrepreneur, HR leader, because that's who I was going to be talking to.
Yep.
I was going to be coming to her for jobs.
That was potentially a client.
Correct.
Yeah, you
so
need
I
to
needed
understand.
her. And then a marketer. Because
Okay.
I knew that I had to market my business and I was trying to figure out how to bucket all the things. And so I really feel like you don't have to like formalize it like I did. I asked them to come to monthly meetings where I would share, which turned into quarterly after a while, but I would kind of share, this is what I'm doing, here's what I'm charging. Like I opened up the hood so that they could see all the things because I just needed help. Like
Everybody
I needed
does
support.
at that phase. I think.
Did you pay them?
No. Nope. They're my buddies.
They're your buddies.
And so I
ask
met with
people,
them.
they'll help with a lot of things, right? Like
They had opinions.
if
They
you got-
wanted to help.
Yeah, and if you've forged good relationships and if you're willing to help other people, then oftentimes
Right.
people pitch in and help, right?
So that was helpful.
I think that's so freaking brilliant.
I feel like people need to help
think,
more.
Why haven't I done something like that? I thought to myself right now when after you
like
said
right
that,
now.
Like, why haven't I done? And I think it's because I have this thing about asking for help.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
No shit.
Well, that
No,
was
we both do. We both do.
I have
It's
such a hard time asking for help, but
It's like a burden
people
to someone
want
else.
to, right? And this is like comes back to that idea too about how do you use your network without using people? How do you leverage your network without leveraging people? Right? And how do you build great things and give? How can you be generous?
Right.
To
These
your
four
network?
people were going to give me advice whether I wanted it or not.
You might as
So I
well.
was like,
no,
let's
that's great.
formalize.
That's great.
And I think they also knew that I knew what I knew, but I just needed help getting it going.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
nuts and bolts. How did they help? What did they do that gave you?
Here's the key.
Yeah.
I had to be like, okay, so I had my first meeting with them included some additional people. And it was like, what am I going to do? And my friend Mark, who the entrepreneur marketing officer person, he facilitated the meeting. And the whole goal of this first meeting was, let's help Stephanie figure out where she's going to focus.
This is your group of people
my
having a
people,
meeting
they're
about
like,
you.
We're sitting there, they're like, well, she could do this. And she could do this. And again, I had a couple HR people in the room who were like, I would not pay for that, but I would pay for that. I would pay a lot of money for you to do that, Stephanie. And then I had other people in the room who were like, I didn't even know that somebody could do that. I would pay for that right now. So that
I love this.
was like this test and learn environment that I needed to like have people help me figure it out. So that's number one. Number
Good.
two,
That's good.
when you get you gotta just, when you get a job and you're like, is this something I want to do? Just do it.
Oh,
Just
okay. Okay.
Like people would come to me for stuff and I'm like, mission, vision, values. You want me to help you with your mission, vision, values? Okay, sure.
You didn't want to, but you did it.
I did.
And what was the benefit you received from having done these things?
So let me just say this. The reason why I didn't want to do it is I was afraid that I was taking work away from people who do this for a living. Like that was always my
Like you're
fear.
not good enough for this.
Like there's
This is
somebody who
someone
does
else
mission, vision, values
that's
for a
their-
living. You should be talking to them.
That's their business. Yeah.
But what I have learned is that sometimes people need to hear it from a particular voice.
Right.
That's right.
Or from a person with a particular
authority
background.
or experience.
So what I learned when I did some of this work was while I could totally do it, it just wasn't as natural as leadership development, executive coaching, working with CEOs. And I learned that I could do just that slither and still make the financial inroads that I wanted to make. Because that's the other thing. Nobody talks about
Wait, no,
this.
say that again. So you could do the one little piece, like the mission vision.
So when I started, I didn't know where the money was going to come
Yeah,
from.
this is always people have to go after the money.
Because people don't want to talk about it, but I was
It's
not like
important.
being an entrepreneur for fun. Like
No.
I
of us really
needed
are.
to
No.
bring in
can't
the
just-
exact same kind of money that I was bringing in at General Mills, and
Right.
so I just didn't know how that was going to happen.
Yeah, how do I get from zero to that?
Especially when I was like, how much am I charging? Don't know. So what I did in the beginning is I'm like, I'm going to do all the things. In part because I want to see all the things and figure out what I like and what I don't like, what I'm good at, what I'm not so good at. And also because I have this financial goal that I set with my advisory group. Like they
Yeah.
helped me think about that.
Yeah.
Now, 5 years later, I know that I can just do the slither of work that I really enjoy and I'm really good at
Yep.
and meet my financial goals.
Okay.
And in the beginning,
So you had to take a broader spectrum of work early
Correct.
on to meet the financial
well,
goals.
and to learn.
correct, and to learn.
And to learn.
So if someone came to you today and said, mission, vision, values, will you help me with that?
Yes, I know 2 people who will do an excellent job.
Okay.
So that's the other thing is I knew as an HR consultant, there's work that was going to come to me that I don't do. DEI, compensation and benefits,
Talent acquisition.
recruiting. So I
That one.
built up, I want to be able to say, these are trusted people that I know are going to do a great job for you. So if this is what you're looking to do, here's the people.
Yeah, these are people that you would recommend because you know they have the expertise there.
And that helped me feel more confident because I didn't want some organization that was reaching out, taking the time to reach out, I didn't want to not support them. But what I learned is sometimes support is putting them on the path of somebody who can do the work really, really well.
Yeah, I completely understand that. But I also wonder when you include yourself in helping someone with their mission, vision, and values, because when we all specialize in our little niches, sometimes you end up with the same thing over and over. We're sort of
Right.
carbon copying each little thing, right?
Absolutely.
And when you put someone in there who's just got all these talents anyway, and it's not their thing, but maybe did you ever come up with some really cool stuff that you're proud of because you have a different perspective?
I do.
Yeah.
So I have a inclusive leader program that I created that I love because I feel like it helps people think about managing your whole team, whether the people look like you or don't look like you, and really understanding them as individuals. So I'm super proud of that work. And then I created a program called Flux to Flow, which helps women like me who are trying to figure out their next chapter. And I was really surprised to find there's lots of women who are often trying to figure out what's next. And that next chapter could happen in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. It's not a
Our
particular
mom
life
is in her
stage.
70s. She just went back to school.
Right. Like it can happen at any point.
I love it.
So I created an 8-week program, and I love it because what I learned was for women in particular, one-on-one is great, but being in community is also great.
Yep.
And what Flux to Flow allows me to do is to meet one-on-one with Juliet, but Juliet is also in a cohort of 10 people, so she gets the benefit of one-on-one time with me, the cohort,
Yep.
and then as she's talking about what she's doing, access to the network, right? Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I do know somebody who does that. Oh, you can talk to such and such.
Right.
So I love those
Marketing.
Those
That's
things
what we
I
need.
just love. Like I feel really good about that. And then the work, whenever Evereve releases one of the reels that I'm in, and I read the comments on
Oh, right.
Instagram,
When
which
you're
can
in
be
your
a little
modeling career.
when I'm modeling.
Your burgeoning modeling career, yes.
Instagram can be tough.
I
like
know,
people
I
could
would
say
not
mean
read them.
things.
That was
And people have been amazing. Like they will say really nice things, even if it's like, I don't really like that dress. There's so many other great dresses in the store.
Sure. Which is not a negative
That's
thing.
not negative. That's like,
That's
cool,
my
cool,
opinion
cool.
is that dress isn't the
Or
right dress.
they'll be like, love Steph. We'd love to see you. Like it is affirming and also fun. Like it's something that I enjoy doing. And then I see all these comments from women who will say, oh, I really love the way that dress looks, Steph. I like that you, Evereve, are representing people who are different sizes.
Right.
And like, so that just,
Yeah.
it makes me feel good again as a mother because I want my girls to always know you're never too old to do whatever the heck it is you want to do.
That's right.
Just keep evolving. And, that is true. It's just from COVID and all the other sort of things that we've been dealing with, people have felt a lot more comfortable just kind of shifting around, like following their heart.
Absolutely.
When's your next cohort start?
Don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, I see.
Oh, yeah.
I see something. I see something in
She
our.
said that Juliet thing, and I was thinking I should be there. I
It's
should
so
be
fun.
in this.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like
I can bring. I got some chicks.
our new space we could help facilitate some things too. I mean,
That's a good point because I've only done it virtually because of COVID and because sometimes we have people who aren't local.
yeah.
But I thought about having one that's local, one that's for people who are local so we can be in person, and then another that's for my friends that want to be virtual.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
What about this idea?
What about that idea?
I love this
I
idea.
got a lot of ideas, friends.
I mean, as we meet people, so many people we interview, and so many of especially the women, because I've given myself over to the idea that mostly I'm going to be meeting women, which I love. This is great. Well,
Good for you.
it's been great for me. It's a completely like I didn't spend any time in corporate world. I've always been comfortable around women. That's never been the problem. But with Juliet's connection, I'm meeting all these powerful business women is the people I'm meeting. And I'm so impressed each time. And I'm like, this is awesome. And just generally speaking, I haven't felt very comfortable around the men who are kind of in those same positions. I'm not really their guy. Like, it's just not who I am. So I love all of this, but I think a theme I keep hearing is that these groups that like everybody's sort of starting consulting, or everybody's trying to put together these groups. And I feel like there's got to be, if we could consolidate some effort around that a little bit, it would be nice.
Absolutely.
I agree. I agree.
Like-
There's a lot of people popping up serving women, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Right?
Where's the central hub?
Let's find some hubs. Let's bring it together. Let's have some synergy. We work best when we are complementing each other.
Right.
So I think that's a
you
fun
have to
idea
include men too, like especially for
do.
business women. Like you're probably not going to go to a business where it's just you.
It's okay to include the men. We were talking about this yesterday. No, it's okay to include the men, but it doesn't have to be if you let them in too soon, then it's all male centric, right? So you make the thing first and then say, yeah, you're invited. Like you can also come into this establishment.
Well, it's also, if even at a systemic change, you need men at the table to have empathy and to understand the plight of what women have been going through.
And there are men who are allies, 100%.
Yeah.
Who have always been good guys, who will do great things with you. There are men who need to be taught, and there are men who are complete jerks. And there are women you don't want in there too, and whatever. So,
And sort of, I think a lot of it is sort of naive, right? They're just doing what they always did before. So,
and we're blessed in the Twin Cities to have all these amazing companies of variety of sizes and all these amazing leaders. And so I just think there's an opportunity for us to capitalize on the leaders that we have in this community that are both teachers and learners, to really support the development of the people that we have in this community so that maybe they will stay in the Twin Cities and just bounce around to the various organizations that we have here.
Exactly.
I think that is awesome.
Yeah, and to bring in, attract some diversity into that too. People see who we are. We do have, I have a lot of people that come in from different states that end up in Minneapolis, and they're like, what is going on with these people? All they want to do is help me. I'm like, well, welcome.
But they don't
to
actually want to get
Minnesota.
to know you.
Yeah, no.
Not for real. Like, don't invite them over for dinner. They'll help you all day long, but don't invite them over.
I know
for
there
dinner.
is a little bit of that, but it's still, as someone coming in from the outside, I know it's hard to break into a Midwest clique, but
Totally.
you can find your way, right? But when you need it, people have your back here.
Yes.
They have your
I
back.
completely agree.
Yeah.
I think the Minnesota nice thing, like, it's tough to meet your neighbors, but they really will help you if you ask.
Right.
Like, there's no doubt about that.
Right.
So.
I think there's a lot of people here who are from other areas, come from other cities, communities, countries, states, and have a similar story to mine where you didn't think you were going to be here for that long and now you are.
Right.
So then it just becomes, okay, what are the things that I want to leave behind in this community so that my girls, if they said, hey, you know what, we're going to come back and live in Minneapolis or live in Edina or wherever it is they choose to go, they can say, my parents made an impact, right? Like my parents did something to continue to grow and evolve this community in this area so that people who look like me and people who look different than me can grow and flourish and feel happy and vibrant and look at this business community.
Yep.
Like that is something that my husband James and I talk about a lot. And, I focus more on the schools and he focuses more on the civic leadership.
James, I met Steph through her husband, James.
Okay.
James is an IT leader and was at Cargill for a number of years and has just landed at another position. He was at another company in between. But he's also on the Edina City Council.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, they both have this love for change. Thank you, by the way, for being an entrepreneur right now.
Yay.
Because if you were still at General Mills, sure, you'd be making a difference for that population. But the fact that you've come out and you are tasting all the possibilities of business and making an impact in different areas, thank you.
Oh,
because
thanks,
there's
Julie.
not
That's so
enough
nice.
people that do it the way you're doing it. And it's inspiring.
We try.
So just generally, before we let you go, before we let you get out of here, just like the entrepreneurial journey thing. Like, are you happy you did this?
Very happy.
Yeah. And
Very happy. I'm learning still every day.
Yep.
But I feel blessed for the 24 years that I had at General Mills. It was amazing because it helped me make this next chapter, and it's been awesome.
Do you have those moments or along the way, did you have the moments where like one day you're like, I'm so good at everything. Today's my day. I'm so glad I did this. And then the next year you're like, I suck at everything. Why did I do this? Do you ever have those?
Yesterday?
Yay.
Yes, I do. Or it's there's no new business coming.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do business development. And I mean, am I going to call my friends and ask them to help me? That just feels, do I want to do that?
Call
and
your
just
friends.
in those moments, something usually comes.
happens. Yeah.
I know.
I'm in that same place. It's like, a lot of people in executive recruiting are barking at the door all the time. They probably were barking at your door all the time. And I don't want to be that barking dog. I do not want to be that barking dog.
Right.
But to not be that barking dog means it's hard to let people know who I am,
Right.
right? So then you're like, okay, well, can you introduce me to, or can you introduce me to, or can you?
Yeah,
and
how do
then
you strike a
suddenly I feel
balance?
like I'm a barking dog for referrals now. I mean, so it's like
Marketing.
this is this huge struggle for me. How do I develop business and be authentic at the same time?
Absolutely.
And be curious and smart in my field and all of those
And
things.
not be annoying everybody constantly.
And not be annoing everyone constantly,
Ugh.
but everyone knows who you are and what you do, and if they value that, they hire you.
Absolutely.
I'm with you. Like
It's
that's
a
the hardest
tough
part for me.
balance.
Yeah.
It's a tough balance to just get your name out to people, because I just want to be like, here's what I do. Okay. Call me.
And then they call you.
Or not.
No, but I mean, all you have to do is be like, here it is, and then that'll work.
Yes.
But it takes more than
And
that.
I know
Oh, you have to
that
follow up.
I know.
People do more than that. And so, for some people, they'll say, well, do you have those moments where you're like, I should just go back to General Mills because it's easy?
Oh, yeah.
And at
That's
this
another
point,
question.
I'm like, nope, I would not work.
Right.
Like at
Right.
this juncture in my life,
Right.
I would be like, and we're retired.
Yeah.
And then I would just work on boards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And work in my
Right.
community, work with
Yeah.
the Edina Public Schools. That's what I would do.
Yep.
And I think that would be,
You got more to give right now than just that.
yeah. I'm like, I could be an executive coach for a really long time.
Yep. I'm so curious about this coaching stuff. Like I'm still learning because so many people we talk to are kind of dabbling in that space, and they have a lot to offer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a sham. I don't think it's BS.
Right.
I just don't know what. I personally don't know what it would be like to sit down and have someone try and coach me. Like, am I even coachable?
No, you're absolutely not coachable.
Maybe.
That's really
Some people aren't. Like,
But
some
what-
people aren't. But
one
I
of the
think,
things is that by the time they come to you and they're asking for leadership development, right? They have done the first thing. They've admitted the problem.
Right.
Right? And so it's a little easier than once they've admitted the problem to say, here's the solution. I do find we know a lot of consultants, and I'm starting to discern good ones and not so good ones and what they're good at and what they're not good at and all of that stuff. But it is a bit like buying marketing, right? It's like, well, you said you could do this for me, but I didn't realize that meant you're not going to do this for me,
Right.
Right? And so
You're gonna tell me
because
how
I
to do the
don't
work,
know
not do the work?
marketing, yeah, I don't know how to ask you that, and so it becomes like it almost needs a referral network
Right.
that understands what consultants and marketing people are doing.
well, you have to be clear because there's a lot of people who have a life coach or executive coach title
Yeah.
as what they do.
Yep.
And so what I try to help people understand is I am not a life coach. If you are going through a divorce or some major life crisis,
Right.
I'm not your girl.
That's not your thing.
No. But I am a career coach. I do help leaders think about what it is they want to do in their career. So I'll give you an example. I will work with people who are very senior, executive vice president, president level people, and they're getting closer to retirement. Let's say they're 5-6 years away. They're trying to figure out, okay, in these next 5 or 6 years, what do I want to do,
Yeah.
right? Because at that point, I'm going to retire from this and do whatever it is I plan to do kind of post this phase. And so I help them name it, like what is they want to do, and then create a strategy to go get it. So some people will say, I want to be a CEO before
Yeah.
I finish this thing. Some people will say, I want to, get as many people as mentees as I possibly can because I want to share my knowledge, like whatever it is, but they need help figuring out. So that's like
Yep.
some people. Then you have another group of leaders that are like, I got this team, we're trying to grow this business, this team is not doing what I need them to do, or I don't know how to get them on the program.
Yep.
That's where I come in to help individual leaders figure it out. And so that's what I do. But there are other people who, like if someone says to me, I've got an employee, a senior leader, they are terrible, I don't know what to do with them. Every time we put them with the team, people quit. I think that they may not be super truthful. I'm like, I don't work with you on that.
Yep.
I give you 2 minutes worth of advice, which is they probably need to go on a performance improvement plan. And do they represent the values of the organization?
Right.
Because the longer you keep people around like that,
Do you want to have a hard conversation about this?
I'm like, you want to pay me a lot of money to do
Let them go.
what
You're-
you. So
Let them go.
So that's
Like, if
sometimes
they don't fit, they don't fit.
Well, sometimes companies don't know even how to use a coach.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm spending time with leaders, HR leaders, helping them figure out where coaching can be helpful and where it's not coaching. Because sometimes the answer is not a coach. Sometimes the answer is some things that you need to do as it relates to shoring up skills with your managers, right?
Yep.
So if you've got
different.
a manager who doesn't know how to manage, I would ask you to think about, you got other managers like that? Because maybe there needs to be something that you're offering to a team of people versus just one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it works.
I get it. I think I get it. I have one thought that came to mind.
Just one?
Just one. She knows me all too well. He means 8, but he's going to give you 1.
I can't wait to hear it.
Okay. So I think of all of the like sort of untapped or wasted potential that we have in our human population. All these people so you're talking about coaching these people who are at senior levels, right? They've got resources galore, I would assume, at that point, generally.
In some cases, yeah.
Just as a general rule, right? And then you've got people out in the community who, maybe through some decisions of their own, maybe through no action of their own, maybe just life circumstances, aren't in a position to have the resources necessary to get the help, right? And so I wonder if, when it comes to this coaching stuff, I just think of like the budding entrepreneurs that I've met over the course of now the 10 years or whatever that I've been meeting people in town, and the ones who don't have the advantages that other people have, and they have no idea how to get started. I wonder if when we could set up, when someone pays over here, you're paying for 2 sessions, one for yourself and one for someone who does not have the resources.
Okay. So can I just stop you for a second?
Yeah.
Because you were like, that's an interesting idea. Straight up, that is an idea that I talked about with a leader at a company, where one of the biggest issues for me when I first got started is I wanted to help this population of people at these smaller organizations. The problem was the financial model for me didn't work.
Yeah, right. You
Because
can't
they could
do
only
it.
afford a certain amount of money to spend, and I would have to do a lot of those. And
Yeah.
I, at the time, was not good at saying, okay, if you're only going to pay a certain amount of money, I'm only going to give you a certain amount of time. I couldn't do it.
Right.
I'm
I'm going to give you the full package, even though you're not paying. Oh, crap.
So
did the same
I
thing.
started talking to organizations about, as a part of your giving and thinking about how you can support small business. As an example, here's one way, right? Like, you can contribute to a pot. I've got a leader who wants to do some coaching. They can't afford the full package. But if you could subsidize big company,
Yeah.
it helps support the small business.
Like
You're
buy
so
one,
smart.
buy one, give one.
Yeah, that took me forever to come up with that idea. The other thing, thanks for coming up with that one in like one conversation. Rude. The other thing that I learned too was, for me, and this, somebody will hear this and be like, that's a terrible business model.
Oh, I love it.
don't
That
care.
means it's great.
So I know how much the larger organizations can and will pay for coaching because
Yeah.
I worked for them.
Yeah.
And so sometimes what I'll say in my mind is, Stephanie, if you get X number of those each year, then that is enough for you to be able to do some of these
Yes.
others
Yeah.
at a lower price point.
Yes.
Now, what I also think about, because I do think it's true, if I'm offering a lower price point, it can't be the same stuff. Like, because
No, because you can't dilute
I don't
this
have that
one.
much time.
Yeah,
Right. Like, because
right.
now then I've got 20 people and
Yep.
now I'm yelling at my husband because I can't get it all done.
Yep.
So, because he's the person who gets yelled at. So
course.
what I do now is I really think about that balance of, I think it's important for small business for me to still charge them because I need them to have a stake in the game.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
they need to understand that if this is something that you find value in, then you want to budget for this moving forward, right? So
Yep.
it's just a business from a business perspective. But ABC small company cannot pay the same amount of money as
It's just a fact.
XYZ
It's a reality.
large company. It's just
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
So what I have now done is I've designed programs that meet the needs of organizations based on what they can do.
Yeah, what they can afford. I
Right.
get
So
it.
if you're Target and you're like, hey, I want that program. No, come on, Target. Come on, Target. But I think a lot about how can we ask our larger organizations to help support the development of some of these smaller organizations.
Yeah.
In many cases, some of these smaller organizations are supporting.
I was gonna
and
say,
working
they're
with,
probably their
partnering
supply
with
chain.
these other. So,
I mean, none of us are an island unto ourselves, right?
Right.
The entire ecosystem is better for all of us being, improved, for
Right.
having an improved business ecosystem, improved social equity, improved
Absolutely.
tree canopy coverage, like all these things that make the whole thing better,
Right.
make it better for every one of us all the time.
The reality is, though, these businesses, large or small, are businesses,
Yeah.
right? So, if you're a General Mills, you got to say to yourself, how much, if I'm paying for coaches, for my leaders, that means I'm not doing something else, right? Like there's not an unlimited amount of
Yeah,
money.
that's right.
And so that is also the thing is that, sometimes depending on the economic situation of the organization and where they're spending their money and where they're trying to invest, they don't always have the ability to bring in coaching and leadership development.
Yeah.
And I think it's valuable, and I think a lot of HR people would agree that it's valuable. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out where does that value fit in with product development, innovation, right? Things that you would probably say are maybe a little bit above. And so how does that fit? How does that work? And so I work with organizations to help figure that out too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a never-ending question, though,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of
It's
like,
a circular question.
Yeah.
We better let you go.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
we know you have
Stephanie.
big things coming up today. Thank you.
I don't know. This was really enlightening for
This
me.
was so
I learned so
fun.
much.
Thank
and
you
I
for
made
having
commitments in my
me.
head to be different. Thank you.
for doing this and for giving a voice to entrepreneurs in support of each other.
Yeah, we love it. We
We're a
absolutely
team.
Love it. Thanks for
Takes
coming
a-
in.
Thank
Takes a
you.
village.
Thank you. Good to see you. Nice to meet you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Don't cry. It's over.
Oh, you did it. You made it to the very end of the show. You know what you can do to help us? What can they do to help us? They can tell their friends how awesome this show is.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
You know what else? And I don't know if people know this or don't know this, but like if you found us and you see us on socials somewhere, just hit repost or share it with your community.
Share, repost, follow. Isn't there a follow option?
Yeah,
of some
follow,
kind?
subscribe. We're not going to charge you anything.
No.
Just hit the subscribe button.
No,
It's
we
not gonna
just
hurt
need
you.
to create a community around entrepreneurism and how the real shit happens.
I like it. Well, because we're real. You said it in the intro.
Real.
We talk real. No, seriously, tell your friends. What a great show. Oh my gosh, these people are doing the best work ever. Yeah, right?
That's what you should say.
Yeah.
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 And just come back. Have fun with us. We love this.
We'll have someone, we'll interview someone cool next week too.
Someone completely different.
Yeah, from prison. Thanks.
We always have to have that.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.